Personal log, Winston Creosote Godbold, or the USS Constellation. Stardate today. A little too much blood wine last night. I'm feeling a little hungover. Seems like the replicators are hungover as well. Don't know what exactly happened to my shirt. Commander Decker is at Starbase 4 for the next several weeks. I've been asked to take the Constellation to Kajir 4, to the dilithium mines, to investigate the Broken Circle. But first, I want to warn everyone of spoilers ahead. And also, to start, we have a message from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is Corinthian Leather. You will not believe the number of DMs that I receive asking me about my chair and if it is really made with Corinthian leather. The answer is absolutely. And if you want Corinthian leather in the Terran solar system, I am your sole supplier. If you want it, you have to come here. You will have to come down here. Nothing like a little Roctagino to start a Strange New Worlds discussion. Thank you for joining me today to watch this episode where I discuss Strange New Worlds Episode 1, Season 2, The Broken Circle. And this is going to be a spoiler-rich environment. So if you want to be made angry, go ahead and watch this before you watch the episode. I will try to be brief in this episode, actually, and just cover where each of the characters are at the beginning of this season and have some ideas of where I think they're going to go. Starting out first with Captain Pike. The ship is in space dock at Starbase 1, and Captain Pike's hair is in a state of peace. It's at rest. His hair is fairly low to his scalp and confident. It's not stressed out like we saw it at the end of season 1. He is concerned about Una, who is in jail for being whatever exactly she is. I've already forgotten what it is, but it's something that you're not supposed to be. It's a genetically modified person, and therefore she, as a Letherian or something like that, it's probably not right. She is talking to him about getting hold of an attorney. They do not give the name of the attorney, so I'm hoping it's going to be a surprise, somebody we've seen in the past in Star Trek. And Pike is going to take a little personal time to go find that attorney. So then we find Mr. Spock, who is reeling from emotional baggage from last season. He had to let out a lot of anger to deal with the Gorn in that episode where we all wonder how they were able to get away with not crediting both the Predator movies and the Alien movies when they made that particular episode. And his emotionalism kind of becomes part of the theme of this episode of where it takes us. So Spock is in command. He's concerned about that. He speaks with Dr. Joseph Mabinga. I don't think we've ever heard his first name before, and is concerned about the stress he's feeling. Dr. Mabinga gives him the Vulcan lyre that we've seen with Spock playing so many times before. So we learned that he gives that to Spock to help him relax and get his stress under control. And part of that stress also deals with what he's feeling for Nurse Chapel. This episode focuses very heavily on Dr. Mabinga and Nurse Chapel's relationship and their experience in the Klingon War, which Captain Pike and his crew did not participate in, but many of the members on the ship were a part of. Mabinga specifically seems to have had some very hard experiences with it, and I think is suffering from PTSD more so than Nurse Chapel. We learned that Nurse Chapel is probably soon going to meet Dr. Roger Corby, who was never really there, in the next few episodes. My guess is because she is going to be looking into some archaeological studies on Vulcan, and that might bring her to meet Dr. Roger Corby, who she eventually becomes engaged to, and then he disappears. And like I said, he was never really there. So we have those characters covered as where they're at. Ensign Ortega, or Lieutenant Ortega. Man, I just don't have this down today. She is being herself. Not a whole lot going on with her. I don't even know the helmsman's name. But she is up to some shenanigans in this episode where she is making the warp core look like it's going to explode. Now, why would she do that? She is doing that because they receive a message from La'an, even though the ship is in space dock at Starbase 1. And Spock, who's now in charge, wants to take the ship out to go and rescue her. Admiral April says, no, you don't get to do that. And Spock, therefore, within about 1 minute, decides it's time to steal the ship. So I think his emotions have gotten the better of him. So he talks to the crew about it, and they're in on it right away. They think it's a really good idea to steal the starship immediately. There's not even one person who says this might be a bad idea. And so they come up with what they're going to do. They fake a warp core breach. Commander Pelia, who is on board the ship doing the refit for it while it's at Starbase 1, is suspicious of this warp core breach that they are trying to pull off and heads directly to the bridge. We learn that she knows Spock's mother. We learn that she's a lanthanite, which when I looked that up is a rare Earth element, but apparently it's also a species that was hidden on Earth and did not reveal itself until the 22nd century. And this particular one, Commander Pelia, had revealed herself to Amanda Grayson, Spock's mother. Pelia seems like she's going to be an excellent and exciting character. Apparently they are a long-lived race, which will be interesting to see how that plays out. She has been teaching at Starfleet and now apparently wants to get out there and have a little bit of fun and become chief engineer on the ship this season. So I think she is going to be a great character. And oddly enough, she's all in on stealing the Enterprise right away as well. And it's like, hey, here's a better way of doing it to make it look more realistic. So that's interesting too. Everyone's on board with thievery of the ship without even trying anything else to begin with. So now that everyone's agreed to steal the ship, they are going to head to Kajir 4 at Warp 5. And Mr. Spock, there's what is meant to be the funny scene, I think, in the show of what is he supposed to say? Does he say engage? Does he say hit it? What does he say when he wants you to make the ship go? And his is not as good as Ortega's, which is Vamanos, is what she wants to use when she's in command of the ship. He just says, I want the ship to go now. So we meet La'an on the planet, and she has discovered a ring, a conspiracy that includes Federation people and Klingons. Where have we seen that before? We've seen that in Star Trek VI. And it's a very similar way of thinking. Why is this conspiracy between humans and Klingons happening? It's happening because the war with Klingons has come to an end. The military-industrial complex is missing out on additional money that it could be receiving from the mining of dilithium for the war effort. And so this group has come together to restart the war. And she has learned of this plot and has called the Enterprise in to stop it. And Dr. Mabinga and Nurse Chapel are on the planet as well, and they take care of some people who are injured on the planet. And we meet Oriana's family, and they take care of one of the mothers who's injured. And then they end up being kidnapped by the Broken Circle. And who the hell is that? What are you doing in my show? And the Broken Circle takes them to a dilithium cave in which they've hidden an entire starship. Now, that's a big, big cave. And it is what they're going to use to start a war with the Klingons, make it look like the Federation has attacked the Klingons so the war can resume, and this group of Klingons and Federation people can work together to continue with the war. Well, guess what? Spock has stolen the Enterprise. They learn about all of this, and they put an end to it. Just so happens that a beautiful D7 battle cruiser shows up and was the target that they were going to be blowing up on Kajir 4, but they failed to do so because the Enterprise intervened. The Klingons are suspicious. Spock meets with them on the planet Surf to have a face-to-face discussion, hits a little bit of the blood wine, understands why the Klingons say that it makes your blood scream or sing or something like that, and talks a little bit more to Commander Pelia. What we learn at the end of the episode is that Starfleet is not that upset. Why would anyone be upset about stealing a starship? Even Captain or Commodore, make that Admiral April, is pretty relaxed about it. And tells Spock, if you do it again, though, it's going to be your commission. So we know that he does it again, don't we? But then we learn that Admiral April and another admiral have some information they have not shared with anyone on the Starship Enterprise yet, and that is the Gorn look like they are preparing for an invasion of the Federation. And I think that, of course, will be a large theme this season. Now, how can it be possible that the Gorn invade the Federation and then Kirk doesn't know who the Gorn are? Well, it's called time travel. And I think we're going to have a lot of time travel in this episode involving Captain Kirk, or Lieutenant Kirk, or Lieutenant Commander Kirk. And in that time travel, they will fix the conflict with the Gorn and realign the timeline so that Kirk does not know who the Gorn are in the episode arena. I'm not certain where the line with Commander Pelia will go, but I do look forward to it. And again, I think we'll have a exciting kind of interaction with Spock to bring Dr. Roger Corby and Nurse Chapel, and we're going to see how Dr. Mbinga again tries to heal from the Klingon War. He has some things up his sleeve you would not expect a doctor to have, especially Man of Peace, which is something he very much claims to be. He actually has the Hulk formula. So if you ever want to Hulk out and go beat up on a bunch of Klingons, you just ask him, he'll give you an injection and you can go do that. Now, there's something that this story really hit home for me on, and that was, again, the Lanthanites, which is what Commander Pelia is. So we're told. How many of you have wondered if aliens are among us? What we've learned is the Lanthanites have been on Earth for a very long time, perhaps even before the Vulcans' first contact. And they didn't reveal themselves until the 22nd century, which was also when the Vulcans had first contact with Earth. Are our politicians at this time Lanthanites? Are they some type of lizard? Are they Gorn? I don't know, but this episode seems to suggest that is the case. So that's a thread we have to follow as well. Did the Lanthanites infiltrate the governments of the Earth in the 21st century to create all the havoc and nonsense that we have today? It's quite possible, and I'd like to share that with you as we go through this season. I look forward to seeing you on my next discussion of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.